Hello YouTube and thank you for watching. Today I'm going to be converting a SQL Server database, migrating the data over to an Oracle schema. The reason is because I need a large database that contains real data with millions of rows. I've looked on the internet and this seems to be one of the more popular ones that are available for SQL. But I could not find a download for an Oracle version of it. So let's get started. The download page, which I'll post in the description, offers the option of downloading a 1 GB file, a 10 GB file, a 54 GB file, and a 47 GB file. And they expand into larger files. The 54 GB expands to about 400 GB, and I imagine that this database will contain hundreds of millions of rows, which is ideal when you're doing performance testing and performance tuning activities. Once you download, you can extract it using 7-zip or any other archiver that recognizes this format, and it'll extract MDF and LDF, which you can attach to SQL Server using the Management Studio. The instructions to migrate the data from SQL Server to Oracle is given here. The article is quite dated. As you can see here that the latest version that when this time the article was written was for SQL Server 2008. In a nutshell, you will need to download the Oracle SQL Developer and the jTDS driver from SourceForge. According to the article, version 1.2 is supported, but given the age of these drivers, I would recommend that you download the latest, which is 1.3.1, which I'll be using today. Once you download, you'll need to extract the jar file, which is in the root directory of the archive. And you'll probably need to place that somewhere. I typically use the JDBC subfolder, lib, and put the files here. So today I will be using the jTDS 1.3.1.jar. After you extract the jar file, you'll need to go under Tools, Preferences, Database, Third-party JDBC driver, click the Add Entry, and then navigate to the folder that contains the jTDS jar file, and then add it here, and then you click OK. And what this does is it allows you to connect to a SQL Server. So let's go ahead and connect. We'll call this one a localhost. We'll use the SA. And let's test. It is successful. It's also able to retrieve the databases. And we're going to be working on the Stack Overflow 2010 database. Okay, let's go ahead and connect. And you'll see the SQL Server connection show up under the connections. And under the DBO schema, you can see that there's a number of tables that are available. So what we're going to do is start migrating the data. But before we do that, let's see how large these tables are and how many rows it contains, so that we can kind of guesstimate how long it'll take. Obviously, the more rows, the longer it'll take to migrate. So this is the database that we're looking at, Stack Overflow 2010, the tables. And if you run this query, you can see that the post table is the largest. It contains roughly 3.7 million rows, and it consumes about 6.7 GB of space. So this one will probably take quite a bit of time. These will probably take a second or two at most. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the SQL developer. Let's start with the first one, badges. And when you right click on a table, you'll see an option to copy to Oracle. Now in the dialog, you basically have two options. Either the table already exists or not. If the table already exists, you can either append or replace it. So I'm going to choose the simplest option, which is to replace, and then copy the data. Here in the connection drop down, we're going to be connecting to the Stack Overflow user. Okay, so the badges table copy has completed. And let's go and verify. And yes, so we do have badges table copied along with the, let's go and take a look at the data. Alright, so let's close these. And then we'll work on the next one, which is the comments. Right click, copy to Oracle. So we are going to replace if the table already exists, and make sure to choose the correct connection and copy, and you'll see the progress down here. So this one is roughly about quarter the size of the posts, so that'll give us an idea about how long posts will take. So I think it took a little over a minute, maybe two. So this ballpark estimate is that the post table will take 10 minutes or so. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with the other tables. Okay, post links, place. So here you can see that the votes table contains about 10 million rows and 364 gigabytes. Uh, so this will take a considerable amount of time. There is no direct correlation between the number of rows. It's just really dependent on the type of data and the network activity. So while the migration is still running, let's go ahead and verify what tasks have been completed so far. There you go. So we were successful in copying 10 million rows. I think it took about 5 minutes or so. And so far, we've migrated 246 tables. I'm gonna finish the remaining offline because obviously the post is gonna take a considerable amount of time. I intentionally wanted to give you an idea about how the time-intensive migration processes. This particular database is relatively small in size. If you can imagine a production database that's 500 GB and contains a billion rows, I'd imagine you're looking at like 2-3 days for the data migration. So anyway, I hope you've found this information useful, and hit the like button if you enjoy the content, and please subscribe for more content. Thank you.